you're here early, sometimes it's good to be early. But our show starts at a specific time. You should remember that. Let's get started then, shall we?
Dillon, I don't give a what you think about a co-host and freshen up my show.
It might not be flashy, but sometimes you just got to toss another person to make a statement.
My show's about the people's podcast. Everyone has a voice. I don't need a co-host. Go listen to one of the other 5,000 shows with a co-host because they don't have a mouth like the big guy.
Opie, are you a career killer with Tim Sabian, yourself, and many others?
Be myself. Never had real issues with those people. They just understood that I was a different bird. The rest of them, though, I'm like, oh, shut up. I'm paying your salary because the ratings are so good, so shut up.
Right? Live from
Somewhere.
it's
Dillon.
Good whatever to you, whenever you are viewing this. It is morning here. It is afternoon over in the UK with Rochi. Thank you for joining. Today we have a self-help expert as our host. I am, of course, your co-host, Dillon, and this is my self-taped audition for another TJ Miller lookalike, Mark Manson, who has a few New York Times best-selling books, including The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Sorry about the mouth shit's going on there today. I will try to knock that off. That wasn't noises, that was gross visuals. Don't know what the fuck was going on there. Help get me out of this hole I am digging for myself, Mark Manson. What is going on in this video? 15 paradoxes that will change your life.
Some of the most mind-blowing truths in life are paradoxes. Stick around and I'll share 15 of my favorite ones with you. So what the hell is a paradox? A paradox is something that is seemingly contradictory on the surface, but turns out to be true. Or
maybe we can get Mark in for our new show about word-a-day calendars, seeing he's starting us off with a
valid when investigated more
paradox.
closely. Paradoxes have this really satisfying effect on our minds where they kind of, twist it in a pretzel and turn it into like a figure eight or something. Like it's a chicken and the egg type thing going on. In my 10 plus years researching and studying and writing about psychology and personal development.
I think he wins the TJ Miller lookalike contest. He's got that shit down more than I do, for sure. And this has been a very black t-shirt week. Yesterday, we wore a black t-shirt with a logo to match our boy Dancing with Ghosts. And today, just a plain black tee with, well, that does make sense for speakers. They seem to like the black tee to help you focus on them, not their outfit.
Development, I've consistently found that some of the most important truths that we can understand about ourselves tend to be paradoxical. So in this video, I'm going to share 15 of the most profound paradoxes that I've come across. And if you can think of some that are not mentioned in this video, please post them in the comments below and, we'll give it a thumbs up. Number one.
And he's got that nice little rock intro. Glad you could make it here, De La. You are just in time for the first paradox by self-help expert Mark Manson. Glad you were able to get your dog back in line. They do like to go running when they get the chance. Not the pug, though. The little princess of the house. She knows not to run too far. She knows she cannot make it out in the wild. Smart pug.
Number one. The more you try to make people like you, the less they probably will. One
really
interesting thing.
Do not be a tryhard. You do need to try in life, but being a tryhard, a lot of times, people can smell a mile away. That's why you have these neckbeards who are incapable of getting laid, who are the incels, because women can smell the tryhard on them. The most women were ever interested in me is when I was romantically satisfied. They came out of the woodwork. So that's good for a polyamorous fellow. Build up that polycule. For a monogamous, it's just frustrating.
Thing about human psychology is that most communication that happens between us is not what we're actually saying. It is the subtext of what we're saying. It's not what I tell you, it's why I told it to you. Curiously, if I'm always telling you things because I think it will make you like me, that will cause you, that subtext will cause you to distrust what I'm saying. Now, we've all had that experience where, we've had somebody follow us around and just agree with everything we say, and it is fucking
yes men. Our boy Stuttering John likes himself a yes man. I think that's why he blocked me on Twitter and got that fellow DG to be his regular co-host, because he is a yes man. I am not a yes man. I am a Carl Hamburger fan, and that would not stand in the world of Stuttering John Melendez.
Annoying. It's like, please have an individual thought. There's something about human relationships. We need a little bit of friction in them for us to trust that the person is being authentic and real towards us, because that's what creates a real relationship. That's what makes people actually like each other. Authenticity. Paradox number 2.
And yeah, we do have people just getting more and more into groups in which they all think alike. And you do need that back and forth, that difference. Do not immediately block out people who frustrate you. They help challenge you. And sometimes you will go with their what they're saying, and sometimes you'll stick with your gut initial feelings. Joey C., also a yes man. Oh boy, I wish that Stuttering John would have left that episode up in which the three of those got drunker every night. I don't know if I could pull that off, just getting drunk on YouTube for 4.5 hours and have it being just fantastic. But back to the paradoxes in life. Yes, you want people to challenge you. Do not surround yourself with yes men and yes women.
The more you fail,
except in the bedroom,
the more likely you are
You don't want someone wishy-washy there. We are living 2023, and you need consent. None of that chase me stuff from the 80s with a little questionable line there.
Succeed. It's incredible how many examples there are of this in the world. I'm not even going to go into it. I mean, it's logical, right? Like, the way you get good at something is by learning to do it better. And the way you learn to do it better is by doing it wrong. So many people get so obsessed about avoiding failure and being successful by not.
You remember that shit when you do it wrong.
Failing, whereas it's quite the opposite. The way you become successful is by failing early, failing often.
You get that feeling of success when you've done it right, but oh boy, do you remember when you've done that shit wrong.
And failing forward, and whatever fucking cliche about failure there is out there.
This is a camera Lucida. And for the whole of the 19th century, it was the indispensable.
Good old Russell Brand. I've looked into doing a co-host audition with him. He has a lot of people in the room. That's someone who I always just found so pretentious and full of himself. And I was very jealous when he got together with Katy Perry, because I was a big fan of Katy Perry. And she still has a Vegas show in which she pops up out of a toilet at the beginning of it. Those Swifties, they are going to run the world. I chose the losing team on that Taylor Swift versus Katy Perry feud. The victors shall take the spoils of the swiftness. Oh, that's right. There was a commercial.
Or you should probably consider doing it. Now, obviously, this doesn't apply to like jumping out of a moving vehicle or getting in a wrestling match with a grizzly bear or
you want to declaw and detooth the grizzly bear before you get into a wrestling match, but they are great grapplers. That's why legit in the 1950s, I think all the way through the 80s, maybe even all the way back. Yeah, the circus days, wrestling used to have wrestling bears, detoothed, declawed, because bears are natural grapplers. And you take away those instant fatalities from them, you have a nice, good match for the crowd. And I recently heard, certainly it was Jim Cornette saying that the bear match was always the main event in case the bear shit in the ring. You can train the bear as much as you want. You can take away his lethal claws and sharp objects on his body, but the bear still might shit in the ring. And no one can be rolling around in that after.
Handing a handgun to a small child. I don't recommend those things just because they're scary. But interestingly, the most important things we have to do in our lives tend to scare the shit out of us. And why is that? Well, it's because the most important things in our lives have the greatest effect on our identity and our perception of our own self-worth.
I just noticed his logo looks like Nickelodeon down there in the lower corner. Let me get that bigger so you can see that. But yeah, look, he took the Nickelodeon orange splat. They're not using it, so sure, go ahead and use the orange splat that Nickelodeon let go by the wayside.
So the stakes are high, and whenever the stakes are high, we tend to get nervous about it. And so if you find that there's an area in your life...
My fun facts include fecal matter and piss.
That
actually we do have a piss fun fact coming in the TikTok segment. All right, we have a theme today.
or there's something in your life that you are consistently scared to do, even though you know it's good for you, probably means you should do it. Paradox number 4, the more you hate a trait in other people,
sometimes just the simple things. I am a natural introvert, and doing public stuff like this scared me, performing and stuff, but I absolutely enjoy it. So yeah, there is an example in action. Welcome, G-Rob. We are making our way through Mark Manson's life advice. He's got some paradoxes he's telling us. And yeah, he's got some good advice so far.
The more likely it is that you're avoiding that trait in yourself. Carl Jung called this the shadow. It's basically this idea that the things that irritate us about other people are often the things that we don't like to.
Another fun fact with the shadow, Sam Raimi wanted to make The Shadow a movie based on the comic book in the early 90s. He couldn't get the rights, and we got Darkman, a really fun first movie, and then we got 2 straight to VHS sequels of Darkman, Darkman, Die. And unfortunately, they couldn't get Liam Neeson back to be Darkman again.
To admit about ourselves. So if you're consistently annoyed at people who are indecisive, it's a good chance that you don't like to admit that you're indecisive yourself. Or if you're all
yeah, indecisiveness really annoys me. That's one thing that going out on dates, women enjoy with me because I will be decisive about where we're going. That is one of the things when I was bad with the ladies and saw a buddy who thought he was quite the ladies' man, Casanova. That drove me up a wall of seeing him. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Just wasting a half a fucking hour.
Always frustrated and feel as though people are disrespecting you, could easily be that you're disrespecting of other people. There's this interesting mirror aspect of our psychology in that we tend to project the uncomfortable things about ourselves onto the world around us as a way of avoiding dealing with our own shit. Paradox number
recordings just got better.
Okay, we've got, I believe, this isn't our second commercial. Yeah, this is our second commercial. Mark Manson, 2 commercials in 4 minutes. That is part of his money-making strategy. Commercials equal money. Is that one of the later paradoxes of making entertaining content, but not loading it up too much with commercials? Because 2 commercials in 4 minutes, that's a bit much. It's a bit much, buddy. Paradox 5, the more connected we become with the world, the more isolated.
The more connected we become with the world, the more isolated we seem to feel. Now, this is a fascinating paradox because with the glories of the internet and the YouTubes, we can get in touch and be in touch with literally thousands or millions of people. Now, that's an incredible feat of technology. But what we don't think about is that as soon as you are part of a group of thousands or millions of people, the more insignificant any of your individual actions feel. I mean, it used to.
And here, getting a internet community, we are Borg. We are always together and so lonesome at the same time with our thoughts, even though you can hear them all.
Back in Grandpa's day, like you knew the people down the street. Maybe you read the local paper about the mayor or the city council, and it felt like you could do something about it. It's like you could march down the town hall and be like, "I demand more parking spaces," and actually have an effect on your life. But today, like we're aware of problems that affect the entire planet. There are literally thousands of people talking about any given topic online at any given moment. So it creates this sense of, well,
thank you, Reddit. And I can now plug Monday's episode of Subreddit Surfing, produced by me. Get a membership to Subreddit Surfing, known as a Big Kahuna, and you can vote on who you thought had the better episode, me or Jimmy the Lip, who had this past week's. I'm glad no one else took them up on their producer offer, so this didn't drag out for the entire second season of Let's Give You a Try. Let's Give You a Try. One-on-one competition, Subreddit Surfing producer. My episode Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Subreddit Surfing channel.
Well, what the fuck can I do about it? And we feel like we can do nothing. Paradox number 6. You can only have a happy relationship if you are happy being by yourself. If you have some hole in yourself, some deep-seated...
I've got 2 holes in myself. The people I'm attracted to have 3 holes in themselves. This is actually also something, taking it back to my dating. I was terrible with the women when I wasn't okay with myself. I am okay being alone. And
the insecurity.
Yeah, it's the not giving a shit that helps. As I mentioned, the neck beards, trying hard earlier.
Or a piece of trauma that you're trying to cover up with love and affection from somebody else, that is going to create the basis of a toxic relationship. You're going to become
He is shooting higher than Jad T. Jones, Rochi. This is middle school, high school information rather than Jad T. Jones, who told us how to pick up the ladies. And the more we're coming across these self-help people, the more we're finding that this is something that you just figure out over time. But some people, they need a manual. They need a life manual, the way that there is a death manual on Beetlejuice. That took me a while to get that one out. And while I was plugging subreddit surfing, you'll remember the 90s. Dabblestorian is going on. Good luck with that appearance. Also with our buddy Cardiff Electric. That also has its own channel. Yo, remember the 90s, just as subreddit surfing does.
Emotionally dependent on that other person. And because you're emotionally dependent on them, you're not going to have a good time. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be like a fucking roller coaster, high highs, low lows, and it's going to go woo, and you're going to puke everywhere. And then your partner's going to get mad at you because you puked on their new shoes, and you're going to feel awful.
There is one person that would love you to puke on his shoes. We saw him on the Stern Show. He could never find someone who wanted to puke on him in real life. He just had to do it for a stunt on the Stern Show. And oh boy, did he ever enjoy his Stern Show appearances.
Because you depend on your partner for happiness.
Actually, that was a Baltimore guy. I remember that. He didn't live particularly far away from me where I grew up.
Shoes, but
Jeff the Vomit Guy. That was his name.
Money, and so you have to buy it on credit, and then your partner starts cheating on you because you don't have any money, and then you puke.
I really enjoyed that PG thrusting.
Enough money, and so you have to buy it on credit, and then your partner starts cheating on you because you don't have any money, and then you puke again.
That's B-roll. That is B-roll of walking in on your partner cheating on you for all audience.
So you have to buy it on credit, and then your partner starts cheating on you because you don't have any money, and then you puke again, and it's just it's bad.
Where'd you get that B-roll? I want that B-roll.
Just be happy alone.
Mushrooms, right?
Yeah, that's what they are.
Mushrooms. All right. 3 commercials in 6 minutes. Every
The
2
more you
minutes. Like clockwork. You're hitting us with too many commercials, buddy. I have another one of your 20-minute videos in the queue that I said, oh, this will be good for another time, since I've got 2 smaller 10-minute videos in the queue. But a commercial every 2 minutes. Ow, jeez.
The more you realize you don't know shit. I heard a really cool analogy about this one.
Dunning-Kruger.
So it was it's called like the knowledge circle. The smaller your circle of knowledge is, the
watch out for your knowledge circle, kids. I'll help you expand it here in the back room. Your knowledge circle will be much bigger by the time I'm done with you.
smaller the border is with all the things that you don't know. And so when our knowledge is very small, we think like, oh, well,
feel dirty. How did Jim Norton do that for so long?
There's like 2 or 3 things that I don't understand, but I get the basics. But as you learn more and that knowledge circle expands, the border of that circle with the unknown expands as well. And so once you become an expert in your field, you realize that there are like 250 things that you don't understand, and tons of open questions, and tons of inconsistencies, and tons of shit that people have gotten wrong. And so you get this paradoxical effect where the more you know about a subject, the more you struggle to talk about it.
And for those who are unfamiliar with the word paradox, he did help us out with his word-a-day definition at the beginning of the episode.
Because you realize all the things you don't know. And this relates deeply with paradox number 8, which is the more a person is convinced they are...
Has a good point. Don't put people into boxes. Let the boxes give their consent before the people get into it. Once again, 1980s type gray area. Boxes must give consent before you get inside them here in 2023. No gray areas like the 80s.
If they are right, the more likely they are wrong. There's a thing in psychology called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And
these past 2 were Dunning-Kruger effect type definitions. Look at him getting some mileage out of the Dunning-Kruger effect, being 2 different paradoxes on this 15 paradox list.
Basically says that the less
maximize your effects,
experience or expertise somebody has in a field, the more confident they will be in their beliefs. The philosopher Bertrand Russell once summed this up quite eloquently when he said that the problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are so sure of themselves and intelligent people so full of doubts. Paradox number 9. The more honest you are about your faults, the more people will think
I've learned more and more not to trust confident people.
You're perfect. There's a funny thing about vulnerability, and that even though it scares the living shit out of you, it makes everybody think you're courageous and powerful. So it's like standing up in front of a bunch of people and being like, yeah, I'm actually pretty fucked up. I drink too much and puked on my partner's shoes, and they broke up with me and slept with the mailman.
That is a fun little paradox of being the public speaker and telling everybody what a fucking mess you are. Everyone is looking up to you for your honesty on being a fucking mess. And most of the people in the audience are just goddamn scared to speak in front of an audience.
Mailman, everybody's just like, oh my God, so brave. So brave. I love this guy. I want to hang out with him. I want to be friends with him. I want to have babies with him. It's this beautiful paradox of vulnerability that it's the more we expose our flaws, the more we're comfortable with our shortcomings, the more people revere us and respect us. Paradox number 10 is something that's...
Wait. Did you know what you just said? I don't think you realized what he just said. He said, be comfortable with your shortcomings. That's a lot of cum. Be comfortable with the fact that you are a premature ejaculator. Eat that out and make up for your shortcomings, your quick comings.
That's commonly known as the paradox of choice, which is the more options you have, the less satisfied you will be with each one. So basically, it's like if you sit down at a restaurant and they have 4 options, you'll pick one of the 4 options and you'll probably be pretty satisfied with it. But if the menu is like the fucking Cheesecake Factory and there's like 45 pages of options, you will spend the next 30 minutes of your life agonizing. Well, you'll agonize why the fuck you're at the Cheesecake Factory. But before that, you'll agonize whether you made the right decision or not. In the psychological literature, this is called the paradox of choice. The more options you give people, the less satisfied they are with whatever they pick. And in economics, it's just known as good old opportunity cost. When you only got
going this way, you're going to get a Harry Shearer mark.
Options, you're only giving up 3 potential choices. Whereas if you have 400 options, now you're giving up 399 potential choices. And that hurts a little bit. Paradox number 11, the more you force a relationship, the more likely you are to break up.
Yeah, kids, it may hurt taking your knowledge circle and making it wider, but you gotta do it, and your Uncle Paul will help you get your knowledge circle much wider.
With a person. This is something that I feel like everybody has to learn the hard way. I certainly did when I was young and stupid. You cannot force feelings. In fact, what you will find is that the more you try to force feelings, the more you will create the opposite feeling. This applies to everything. Like the more you try to not feel anxious, the more anxious you feel. The more you try to not be angry, the angrier you feel. The more you try to not feel guilty, you start feeling guilty at the fact that you feel guilty. And so emotions have this kind of self-perpetuating aspect about them. And so if you try to force yourself to love somebody, it's just going to make you love them less. If you try to force yourself.
Man, we have gotten into a lot of force yourself into a relationship jokes this episode, haven't we? We are going over the quota of talking about surprise sex and forced sex. I don't think I can make another one here, Mr. TJ Hooker. TJ
yourself to trust somebody.
I forgot his name now.
Reinforcing the fact that you don't trust them in the first place. When it comes to emotions, you have to surrender to the emotions. You have to do the opposite of forcing them. And in relationships, this often scares the living shit out of us because we're like, well, if I don't try to control the relationship, maybe they'll go away. And yeah, maybe they will. But if they don't, that's what makes the relationship meaningful. Paradox number 12.
You have the greatest hair. Is that a natural? Is it?
Thank you.
Every 2 minutes. No, I do not think I will be returning to your 20-minute video, sir. I really liked the theme you had going on with your next video. I was putting you on the docket for a co-host audition number 2, but knock it the fuck off with these commercials every 2 minutes.
The more you'll be able to love others. The less you're able to love yourself, the less you'll be able to love others. Generally speaking, the emotional health of your relationships is going to be a reflection of your emotional health within yourself. If you're able to be compassionate with yourself.
Morning, king of all diffs. Thank you for joining this slightly above Jad T. Jones. Jad T. Jones gives advice for kindergartners. This is advice for like middle school, high schoolers, man children, not children like Jad T. Jones.
Forgiving of mistakes, grateful for successes, then that is going to be reflected in your ability to be compassionate and grateful and forgiving of others. If you're not able to do that with yourself, then you're not going to be able to do that with others either. Generally speaking, we tend to treat ourselves the way we treat others and vice versa. And so if our relationships are deeply fucked up and incredibly judgmental and highly controlling and constantly anxious and insecure, that's probably how we are on our own as well. Paradox number 13, the less afraid you are.
We've got more. I thought we were wrapping on up.
Of death, the less afraid you are to live. Life itself requires risk. If you're going to do anything meaningful or worthwhile, you need to risk something. Maybe not risk your death, but at least risk something. Risk money, risk reputation, risk your emotions.
Risk herpes.
Risk your dreams and goals or whatever. If you're not willing...
Nah, wrap it up. Wrap it up, folks. Risking herpes sounds fun at the time.
The risk things, then you're not going to be willing to do things. So the more comfortable you become with risking loss, potentially risking the ultimate loss, which is the loss of your life, the more free you are to actually live. Paradox number 14, the only certainty is uncertainty. That is, the only truth is our complete lack of...
Oh, well, work is hard.
I didn't think I was going to be giving you a Harry Shearer. TJ Miller, that's the TJ I was thinking of. I almost blurted out TJ Hooker earlier. Good old Shatner and his 70s wig.
Of knowledge of truth, or paradox number 15, the only constant is change.
Whoa. Well, you didn't even have like 2 sentences on that last one.
Well, there's always in flux. It's always moving. It's always changing. Anything that is true today is going to be uncertain tomorrow as we continue to grow, expand, and evolve. And so
look at you getting 2 talking points out of that uncertainty. That's how you got so many chapters. You know how to break up those things that only need to be 1 episode and are instead 2, 3, 4 episodes. You'd be an all right TV writer. I'd hire you for my writer's room. The way we just need a bottle episode to be cheap and not go anywhere with the plot.
Learn to be comfortable in that uncertainty. Or should I say, learn to be comfortable in that discomfort. There's your bonus paradox. If you have any others, leave them in the comments.
And once again, we're talking to Uncle Paul. How you gotta be comfortable with the discomfort of your knowledge hole growing when I'm done with you.
That's below. And by the way, did you know that if you don't want to like and subscribe a channel, the best way to do that is to like and subscribe to a channel? Yeah, that's totally a truth of life. So fucking hit that button, get your shit together, and I'll see you in the next video.
See, those last couple of sentences was more of the blunt dialogue I was expecting from a man who has the subtle art of not giving a fuck, as one of his 3 New York Times best-selling books. And since we are in the middle section, look at him keeping up his decor with another black shirt. This is a good time to get in the shill segment, the part where I beat you over the head with the hammer saying I need support. So more people see me, so the algorithm picks me up, and then I can make money off of this or get another producing job. One will not be enough to suffice. And I don't have that one yet, but you can see me on subreddit surfing. So like, subscribe. Thank you for chatting. You can also comment after this video is done. No one got in the chat yesterday to talk about their favorite and unfavorite Seinfeld episodes. This one, I have no idea what we'd talk about in the chat. Maybe we'd get silly with paradoxes. Dillon from somewhere at gmail.com is where you can go for your random creative needs, and I will tell you if I can help you out or not. Thank you for dealing with my shill segment. Back to our host for the day, Mr. Not TJ Miller, with his better advice than Jad T. Jones. I'll give him that. Unmute.
Unless you've been living under a rock the past 3 years, you've undoubtedly heard of Dr. Jordan Peterson. Peterson has a big YouTube channel, a very famous podcast, and he wrote a huge bestseller called 12 Rules for Life. He then followed that up with another bestseller called, 12 More Rules.
Jordan Peterson, I think very much of Rick and Morty. It's the fan base that's really more of the problem than they are.
For life. Now, I've read Peterson's work. I've checked out his videos. I even had the opportunity to speak to him at length about my own work on his podcast.
I fucked his daughter.
With his daughter, Michaela. And I'm very proud to say that I was able to elicit multiple
That's where they met. I didn't think there was going to be a daughter mentioned in there to confirm my joke that you were inside of her.
Bombs from him. Fuck, bullshit, fuck. Now, while Peterson has a lot of interesting ideas, perhaps the biggest benefit I've garnered from his work is not any specific answer he presents, but simply the framing of his answers. This idea that we can create rules of life for ourselves. I think this is an incredibly powerful and profound idea.
I just thought of the Cheech and Chong song. Hey man, I was framed. Frame his answers like Cheech.
The idea that we can set our own guiding principles and codes that can not only help us navigate through the world, but define us deeply as individual human beings. I love this idea. So I sat down and asked myself, what are my rules for life? Stay tuned to find out.
Eddie is latent gay, but that's okay. We're a little gay over here in somewhere, and we are a little impressed with Mark Manson's advice here. Step above Jad T. Jones. That's what I'll give him.
Now, before we dive into it, I've got to give a little bit of a disclaimer just because this is the internet and people are fucking stupid.
Man, I'm going to have to write a self-help book with... yeah, I think this is only the second self-help person that we have stumbled across, but I find this basic fucking shit, as is much of my chat. But yeah, a step up from the most basic of basics we saw before with Mr. Jack.
These are my rules for life. Okay, they're not. I'm not saying this has to be everybody's rule for life. It doesn't have to be your rule for life. These are mine. If you like them, you can have them. If you don't, nobody fucking cares. Okay, let's get started. Rule number 1: you are responsible for everything in your own experience, even if it's not your fault. This concept of radical responsibility, it comes from existentialism.
I tell this to Dark Side Phil. It wasn't my fault. It was the detractors who took everything and ruined it.
Jean-Paul Sartre, more specifically. Now, Sartre had this amazing insight, which is that in every moment that we are conscious, we are choosing. We are constantly making choices, not only of what to do, but also of how to see things. You know, if somebody says something that pisses me off, part of that is because I chose to see it in a way that pisses me off. I chose to have values that caused it to piss me off. I chose to listen to...
Is this what we pay for in your books? I learned this in a yoga class. I mean, I knew about it, but I honed it in a yoga class.
The guy who
and yoga class gives you exercise.
Off. Now, Sartre said that this constant choosing, this necessity for choosing of perception and action in every single moment, it is a massive load on us mentally and emotionally. We are
massive load on us. How many massive loads have you taken? Did you take them, all those massive loads, to the face, or did you take them internally?
Terrified of shouldering this constant responsibility. And so
okay, he takes the loads on his shoulder. So like maybe he'll get right under you as you're about to bukkake him, but you know, you want to protect the eyes. If the cum gets in your eyes, it hurts. It's a fucking mess. So pretend like you're going to come on here, but come on here.
As humans, what we tend to do is we find ways to give other people responsibility. To say, oh, well, it's not my fault. He made me do it. Or to say, yeah, it's my boss fucked up. I was just following rules. It's not my fault we defrauded a charity.
Massive loads on the shoulder. I think, Annie, that I'm going to go with Mr. Not TJ Miller here in that, you know, to help you finish, I will pretend to take the massive load on the face, but I will shoulder the load. I like that. I'm going to take loads on the shoulder from now on.
Out of billions of dollars, he did it. You can probably relate to this. We all love to blame other people for our shit. That's normal. That's just human nature. But Sartre took this even further. He said that we often look to other people to adopt our values, to adopt our principles, to adopt our belief systems and what we care about. And this is a much more subtle shirking of responsibility. You know, it's saying like, my dad was a doctor and his dad was a doctor and his dad was a doctor, so of course I have to be a doctor. It's saying like, well, everybody else is doing it, so I should do it too.
And people do fall in that line. There's a lot of people who don't like to think for themselves and will just do what they're told. So maybe that's who he's selling these books to. I need to get in with that audience. Make me some money.
It's this very subtle form of avoiding responsibility that Sartre called living in bad faith. It's basically like living for other people rather than for yourself.
I just got the George of the Jungle theme in my head with King of all diffs driving around. King of all diffs, watch out for that car. Ah!
Now, on the flip side of bad faith, Sartre called living with responsibility, consciously making those choices based on your own principles and values in every single moment, and also being aware that you're making those choices in each and every moment. Sartre called this living in authenticity. Today, we think of it just generally as being yourself or finding who you are, finding out what you care about, what your values are, what you're willing to stand for, and then be willing to make that choice when it comes, even if you're going to be punished.
When it comes on the shoulder.
Socially for it.
I was actually going to make another joke, but that just fed into the coming jokes I've been making.
Now, this is an extremely profound philosophical concept. It's really changed how I see the world and how I see my life. But, you know, if you've read my books, I also present this in just a more pragmatic way. Personal responsibility.
What was the other one? I mentioned The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
But, you know, if you've read my books, I also...
Everything is Fucked, a book about hope.
Present this in just a more pragmatic way. Personal responsibility, it's...
Accept how fucked everything is, and you will learn to have hope for things that can be unfucked.
Kind of just step one of any sort of self-improvement. Because think about it, you can't improve something if you don't believe that you're responsible for it. If you don't believe that you're capable of choosing something different. You can't improve yourself if you don't think you are
I
empowered.
really like his B-roll. He's got some good B-roll. Where'd you get this B-roll? That was a Mr. Show sketch. We got that B-roll. Do you want this? We got it. Do you want that? We got it. What about this other thing? Too specific. We only have B-roll.
Believe that you're capable of choosing something different. You can't improve yourself if you don't think you are empowered to make different choices. And so until you have that perception of personal responsibility of I am the one who makes the choices, I can choose differently next time, then there's no path to improvement. Responsibility is at the cornerstone of what I teach and what I write about for this very reason. Now, the biggest hang up that people have about
I currently am on Fat Watch, Annie, myself. Why don't I just do the yoga? I need to work this into my day, start getting this fat off so I can have a nice pretty body again, and then I can start going after the rich women in town with my nice looking yoga body, and they will fund my creative adventures.
About this whole responsibility thing is
Lucid Smart Eyewear.
And it's funny, King of all diffs, the Dabbleverse has the sense of a humor of a 13-year-old boy, and having so many similar sensibilities with these people I've never met. I have got 3 puppets behind me and 2 luchador masks, not at within arm's reach, but slightly out of arm's reach. We are on the same level of silly goose adults. I don't think you're a silly enough goose. Not TJ Miller.
Which is this assumption that if I'm responsible for something, then it means it's my fault. But that's not true at all, right? Like, I can go get hit by a bus tomorrow, and it's not my fault I got hit by a bus, but it's absolutely my responsibility to recover from getting hit by a bus. Somebody can leave a newborn baby on my doorstep. It's not my fault that somebody left a newborn baby on my doorstep, but it is absolutely my fucking responsibility to take care of that baby. These things happen all the time throughout our lives. We are often responsible for things that we are not.
I just picture pretending that you don't see the baby and then coming back later in the day. Whew, no, I don't need to take care of this baby. 911, I found a dead baby.
Blame for. And understanding that and accepting that, as upsetting as it can be, it's so core and fundamental to doing anything else, to improving yourself, to having mental health, emotional health, to being an ethical and reasonable person, having good relationships.
Oh, ethical. You're missing a couple words there for me. Non-monogamous good relationships. Then I'm on board and we got something to talk about. Isaac Walmart, thanks for joining. We are getting middle school level self-improvement advice rather than elementary school. Oh, I've got to come back to Jad T. Jones. I was really enjoying that elementary, as they say in Rochester. That accent that our friends up in Rochester use, elementary, makes me laugh every time.
Relationships, like the responsibility piece is right there front and center every single time. So for me, that's rule number 1, radical responsibility. Rule number 2, there is no such thing as a bad emotion. There are only bad reactions to emotions. For
this sounds like a Mr. Garrison quote almost.
some reason, whenever
there are no stupid questions, just stupid people.
Say this, it reminds me, so back when I was in music school, I was studying jazz, and I remember I had a jazz teacher who said, there's no such thing as a bad note. There's only bad musicians.
You missed nothing, Rochi. Nothing.
Which is fucking brutal. But the analogy kind of works. Like, there is no bad emotion. There's just bad people. Like, everybody gets angry. Everybody gets upset. Everybody gets sad. Everybody gets depressed. Everybody gets anxious. These are all normal, basic
everybody poops.
Human functions. What determines whether it's good or bad or not is how the person responds to those emotions. So there are people who handle anxiety extremely well, and there are people who handle anxiety extremely poorly. There are people who handle their anger extremely well, and there are people who handle their anger extremely poorly. The term emotional intelligence.
Some great B-roll. What I'm getting out, like, there isn't life advice that I'm taking from not TJ Miller here, because I've already known this stuff, figured it out for myself, and honed it in, as I said, through yoga practice. Yoga practice didn't teach me it. It just helped me hone it in. But B-roll, I need to find out where not TJ Miller gets his B-roll. He has got the best B-roll I have seen.
Has been in the lexicon for a long time. I actually think of it more in terms of like emotional skill. The same way some people are naturally very talented at like basketball but are terrible at, I don't know, water polo. Some people are just naturally very talented at managing guilt and terrible at managing, sadness or whatever. So we've all got our strong spots and our weak spots, but we all need to train ourselves to deal with emotions better and to train ourselves.
And if you had emotional trauma in your younger days, that might help you. Like me, I am so much better at severing relationships. Thank you, mommy and daddy issues, for helping me be able to sever relationships whenever I saw need fit. I see so many romantic couples who just stay with each other and can't do that severing. And yep, it stinks, but I can do it apparently a lot easier than a lot of other people can. The
to become better at dealing with our emotions
of relationships when need be. Is that what you were talking about, TJ Miller? That's what I started rambling on about.
Experience those emotions. We can't label or judge those emotions as bad or wrong or shameful or assume that we're fucking losers because we're like so sad at the end of that Pixar movie. No, this is just life. You feel things and you get on with it. The truth is that emotions are really just
feel things like the knowledge hole expanding as you're teaching the little ones how to expand their small little knowledge hole.
Biological feedback mechanisms.
That's a callback from the first video for those joining in a little later today.
They are ways that our nervous system evolved over thousands or millions of years to help us survive better. When we get scared, it's because our body...
Me hate Carl. Look, it's Stuttering John Melendez. Me hate Carl.
Biological feedback mechanisms. They are ways that are...
He's already ruining his big one-man show up in Rochester by not allowing Carl.
Nervous
He's
system
saying, me hate
evolved
Carl.
over thousands or millions of years to help us survive better. When we get scared, it's...
Carl say, I hunt like girl.
Because
actually, no, John. You say that Carl is effeminate, and now you are... Oh, John. Even when you're a caveman, you never change.
Our body detects some sense of danger or some threat to our ability to preserve our own lives. If we get angry, it's to motivate us to overcome some sort of obstacle or to strike back, at a foe or something like that. Like, these are all...
Is that more B-roll? Did you film this one yourself, or is that B-roll? Like, I think it's B-roll. You got the best B-roll I have seen amongst any video essayist.
Intrinsically useful tools in our biology. I think step number one to emotional health is simply learning not to block any of them. Let it out. Be willing to experience them. Step two is then to experience or express these emotions in a way that is healthy or...
You must yell at the internet when you are angry. Well, you shouldn't yell at the internet when you're angry. Maybe not. Just yell into the walk-in cooler, but be aware that the walk-in cooler is not soundproof. Your employees can hear you screaming out your frustrations.
Or at least not damaging to yourself and others. Now, I want to take a little detour here because it's become very popular in the last few years to kind of celebrate people who are vulnerable with their emotions.
This video hasn't been so fucking bad. This is our first commercial in this video, where the last video had a commercial every 2 minutes. Hopefully your 20-minute video doesn't have them every 2 minutes. I would like to dive into that one at another point. And Dabblestorian, the big deal he made was going on Yo Remember the 90s. I was thinking that was a Friday show. I guess it's tonight. I guess I had that mixed up. Yo Remember the 90s appearance for Dabblestorian. Subreddit surfing producing credit for me next Monday. We are getting around in this world. Rochi says John would beat up Lady K, so John is right for not allowing Carl there. Yeah, John wants to avoid an assault charge. We all know, as he has said, he could do a boxing match taking on a fresh man in every round. So he is at top peak physical condition, as his withering body tells us all. Oh, yes, you're on silent because of your commercial.
Or mental health issues, or business leaders, or politicians who talk about mental health problems or different feelings that they had. The royal family.
Mental health problems, like Gary the Conqueror. Mental health problems going back to childhood.
Doing fucking interviews about their depression and shit. Like, overall, this is a good development. I think it's emotionally healthy for prominent people and leaders in the world to be very open about their emotions. But you knew a but was coming. One danger that I see is that there's starting to be a glorification of those people. So it's like an athlete.
Now, is there a butt coming for the cum shot? I thought we decided that the cum shots go on the shoulder, not TJ Miller.
comes out and says that they're struggling with depression. And not only is that okay, but now there's like a certain segment of people who are like applauding that person, saying, you're a hero. This person is the best because they came out and admitted that they feel depressed. Well, that's also a problem, right? Remember, you don't want to judge your emotions negatively. You don't want to be like, I'm a loser for being sad. But you also don't want to judge your emotions positively either. Like, you don't want to be like, I'm the fucking greatest for being sad. Because then what that does is it unconsciously kind of incentivizes people to start feeling sad all the time, or to kind of dig and find their own, like find that one fucked up thing in their own life that they're so sad about, and then like make that their identity.
He is talking so much about Stuttering John right now. And it's just so easy to go down that rabbit hole of goofing on him when this video has nothing to do with him, but talking about self-help and getting angry, not being able to handle your emotions. That Hulk or Incredible Sulk. Yes, Stuttering John, the Incredible Sulk. That's our new nickname. Thank you very much, chat. A combination of what was it, Annie and Rochi? That came the Incredible Sulk.
The whole point of not judging emotions is not judging emotions. That means you're not a loser for being sad, but you're not a fucking saint either. You're not a mess because you're anxious, but you're also not brave either. Like, you're just a human.
Okay, I do have little bouts of being a fucking mess because of anxiety. And if I'm lucky, I'll get rid of them very quickly. And also, I have a limit on coffee. I get very emotional and anxious if I go over my caffeine limit. So that is something to be aware of.
Human. You're just a fucking person. I think we're starting to lose sight of that. 10 years ago, I started writing about vulnerability, and I think the culture was very under-vulnerable. Sometimes
there was this other book,
we're becoming a little
Models, How to Attract Women. Oh boy, do I have some videos, especially on how to pick up women. Those have been fun so far.
Over-vulnerable. That the celebration of vulnerability is kind of negating any benefits that come from vulnerability. All right, rule number 3. Every action and decision you make should be motivated to improve lives, both yours and others. Now,
this whole last video is all about Stuttering John. What are we here for if we're not going to help other people?
Oh, obviously.
Are you a dabbler, Mr. TJ Miller? Did you tag Mr. Stuttering John in these videos?
This is a very difficult rule to uphold, not only just because, sometimes we just want to sit on the couch and drink beer all day, but also because it's very hard to know, what is improvement? What makes
it looks like he's coming in his pants, this B-roll guy. You're getting a little too comfortable, Mr. B-roll, on this couch. And yeah, look, he's tickling his balls a little bit. And here comes the cumsies.
Sit on the couch and drink beer all day, but also because it's very hard to know what is improvement? What makes a life better? Are you pampering that child, or are you simply giving them opportunity? Are you actively loving somebody, or are you smothering them and making them feel trapped? It's very difficult to know where the line is.
So if we have a drinking game next time with our buddy TJ Miller here, drink every time there's some B-roll. There was one video I wanted to check out more than this one, but it was just so jam-packed of not his stupid face, because I need his stupid face next to my stupid face to do this co-host audition. Well, I don't need it, but that's the preferred format.
Pretty much in everything we do, B-roll. But that's why the rule here is intention. The intention is always towards growth and improvement. It's always towards greater health. Intention
is the difference between first, second, and third degree murder.
Health and greater functionality. I just think of this as having a value towards radical growth. If the first rule is radical responsibility, the second rule is radical acceptance, the third rule is radical growth or radical improvement. Always maintaining that intention that in everything I do in life.
My favorite radical was Chris Benoit.
It's for the benefit of some living being, whether it's me or somebody else or the furry squirrel down the street. So those are my 3 rules. Simple, straight to the point, pretty much impossible to live up to. I think that's probably every rule for life should be like that. It's you don't want a rule for life that you can easily hit.
Well, we established a new rule for life. Come on my shoulder, not on my face. You can get to the climax point looking at my face, but going on my shoulder, not on my face. That's a 4th life rule that we came up while watching this video. I think it fits right in line.
Hit, and then a year later, you're like, well, that was easy. Fuck that shit. And then you go back to drinking beer on the couch. I think one of the reasons why the virtues are the virtues is that in ancient Greece, they realized that some of these things require constant effort, honesty. You can never stop trying to be honest. It always it doesn't matter how honest you were yesterday. You have to try to be honest today. And I think any good rule for life is like that. So those are mine: radical responsibility, radical acceptance, radical growth. What are yours? Leave them in the comments below. And
okay, we're talking about the radicals. So Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko. And poor Dean Malenko, he was such a great hand. There's a hand job joke there. I didn't quite put it together, but there was a hand job.
If you
joke
jive
on
with
the
these
table
rules,
with
be sure to
Dean
subscribe
Malenko.
to the channel, maybe like this video, share it with a friend or two, because that will make their life better. It'll make mine better too. So until next time.
Did you see him? He had some gross mouth stuff going on like I did at the beginning too. I'm
Share it with
glad
a
I'm
friend
not
or
alone
two,
there.
because that will make their life better. It'll make mine better too.
I can point
So,
that out.
Until next time.
So
peace.
you can remember his more than my mouth shenanigans going on. That was not TJ Miller. That was Mark Manson. And someone had a question. Dabble Storian has a lot of mini people going on. Mini De La, Mini Manson. We will have to get into this mini army. I actually think when I hear Manson, I think of the Bubba the Love Sponge show. He helped put together a lot of bits. And Bubba is really lacking without Manson. He stuck with Bubba for a long time, long after everyone else abandoned him, because that's just the way Bubba the Love Sponge is. He runs off all of his friends, and he could use some life advice. Mr. the Love Sponge could, as many times as he's messed things up. But we have got some more life advice, this time from the Good Advice Opossum. And your advice is? Good Advice Opossum is a lot more punk rock with his advice, or she, I'm not quite sure, than Mark Manson was. I thought Mark Manson was going to be a lot more punk rock with his fucks and shit in the titles. Rochi, a fan of Dean Malenko as well. He was my favorite of the vanilla midgets, Dean Malenko, even more than, well, I guess Benoit was one of the vanilla midgets. Fucking Kevin Nash. I trolled him recently in his comments, and I can't believe that he replied to me with as ignorant as I was being. Scott Peterson fan with King of All Diffs. Yeah, to me, nothing wrong with Scott Peterson, but his fan base, they do get a little wacky, like the Rogan fan base and the Rick and Morty fan base. And we have a little more life advice from Nat Sing Songs. As promised, we had some fecal matter advice earlier today, and now we have some piss advice from Nat Sing Songs.
Piss isn't sterile. It isn't sterile. Your piss isn't sterile. Thought that it was sterile, but that was an error. Your piss is never sterile. When I was 9, I got stung by a jellyfish.
We know where that is going. You tried that out. We saw us who were around. Yo, remember the 90s when Chandler pissed on Monica's foot to get rid of the jellyfish sting? And then we all thought that's how you get rid of the jellyfish sting. But Nat Sing Songs apparently found out something different. And we have one more video before the mandatory clown video. This one is about delegating. You want to be successful in life. Some good advice is to delegate when it's proper. And let's see where maybe a little too much outsourcing went on in real life and in a fictional parallel.
This guy hired a hitman who hired a hitman who hired a hitman who hired a hitman.
Wait, this sounds familiar.
So Palpatine needs Padme dead, but he doesn't want to do it himself. So he asks Count Dooku to go kill Padme, but Count Dooku doesn't want to do it himself. So Count Dooku asks Jango Fett to go kill Padme, but Jango Fett doesn't want to do it himself.
And you would think Django would do it. That's his specialty, is doing that type of shit. But no, we are delegating. We are outsourcing this, taking out Padme another generation.
So he asks his shapeshifter friend to go kill Padme, but the shapeshifter sends a robot to go kill Padme. And if you really want to be an asshole and get even more granular, the droid says, I'll send these little bugs to go kill Padme. Palpatine sends a man who sends a man who sends a shapeshifter who sends a robot who sends bugs to go kill Padme.
Outsourced 6 different times. Every single time someone was skimming a little bit off the top of that payment, and that shapeshifter got the shaft. She right, realized it, and then was like, well, this is going to be a fucking droid's job, is what it's going to be. And unfortunately, that shapeshifter did not pick up a battle droid, but she could stuff some poisonous bugs into that droid. And now the regular segment on Sexy Clowns. The way this lady presents herself, I am pretty much positive there is a spicy page for you to check out. This is Pixie May Puddles, and there she is giving her face the, put it here to help you finish. So you think you're putting it here, shoulder it. That is what we learned today. That is what I take away from Mark Manson, not TJ Miller, is to come on my shoulder, but I will pretend to take it on my face so you can finish up. Yeah, that's the best advice I got from not TJ Miller. And these are two really
Stop being a whore. There's more to life than being a whore. Like being a massive whore. You should just be a massive whore instead.
Yay. And we have double
like
fetish.
Being a massive whore.
We have a maid and a clown. We are double. Can we get another double?
You
fetish?
should just be a massive whore instead.
I forget what the other one was that I pulled out, but one more from Pixie May Puddles, who I need to search her in the adult engine. She's doubling up on the same fetish of a clown and a maid. Simple video, but I do believe that's worth a second play. Jiggly jiggly. Very jiggly. Thank you, Pixie May Puddles. We enjoy your videos. Glad to add you to the roster of clowns who look attractive. Lady clowns. Rochi, okay, you were a little bit behind. Sexy clown time, and that was 2 videos by Pixie May Puddles. Tomorrow we have one more TikTok around the clock. We will still be broadcasting 11:30 a.m. Sunday through Thursday for a little bit longer. I was trying to take the Sunday away, but I did dick tease my audience with some WrestleQuest gameplay. So we'll keep that going at least through this week, maybe another couple weeks. We want to finish on a boss. But I'm also playing Civilization 6 for What Is That Game with Annie, the relaunch of her podcast, Vodcast. We will be talking about Civilization 6. She has, I do want to check out that game you mentioned. I've got to dive back into the Xbox. One reason that I have not dove into the Xbox is the fucking controllers. It took me quite a while to get used to the fact of where the A and B and X and Y button are on a Nintendo Switch, because they are the exact opposite on the Xbox. And now I am going to confuse myself once again by diving into another Xbox game for the exact opposite of where A, B, and X, Y is, you cocksuckers. Civ 6, Rochi is a fan. Yes, check out Annie's channel. What game is this? Oh, shit, I did not get a link for that. I've said all this week. I will have to get a link prepared for the next episode, the last one of the week, so you guys can check that out. Subreddit Surfing next Monday. And since the hosts have not revealed the subject yet, I will not reveal that publicly. A few of my listeners, viewers, did get a preview onto what it will be. And right now, Rochi, I am going for the up and down game. I don't think we can play that on YouTube. I think we have to go over to Pornhub to play the up down game, even with sweatpants on. But I'm going for a science victory right now. New DLC. I did not think I was going to be diving back into Civ 6. It has taken up a whole lot of my time. I love the Fear Axis games. XCOM 2, War of the Chosen took a year of my life. And boy, I should have been a lot more social in that year that I was just playing War of the Chosen. And brand new DLC pack, the Leader Pack, they said they we're not going to release for consoles. They released it, so I'm diving into that. And it's buggy. It's buggy as fuck. Thank you for giving us that final download. There have always been crashes in Civ 6 for me, but they are massive since that update. And now I have to tiptoe my way around. I know what triggers those crashes, so gotta be careful with the crashes on Civ 6 on console. A lot of visual text glitches as well, just showing up as code. But it shows that I am just a big fan of Civ 6, as is Rochi, as is Annie, because I am putting up with that nonsense to play some more games. It does get a little long in the tooth for a while. And Rochi, I've got it on the Switch as well. I haven't done PC gaming in like ever, just with friends. So if you want to get that new DLC, it comes free with the anthology Civ 6. It costs money if you don't have the anthology version of Civ 6. So new leaders, but yeah, just very glitchy. I will not be able to join the chat immediately after the show. I should be able to stop in for about 15 minutes, but we do have a few viewers going to the Dillon from Somewhere Discord to get in some audio chat. Yeah, I will pop in there for about 15 minutes, but I won't be in there immediately. This is not an official after show, but be chatting it up there with some of the viewers. Thank you so much for joining this episode. I believe that is all for the Happy Talk portion. Join in tomorrow. TikTok Live. There's a new trend. I like the new trend on TikTok Live. So we will check out that tomorrow on TikTok around the clock. Please join me again. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for supporting. Like, subscribe, leave a comment after we're done, and feel free to go away.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for going on this adventure with me. It's fun being with friends. I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Places all join hands, circle left. Now circle right and listen to me. LSMFT. Alimentary corners like swinging on a gate. To right to your honey with the right to left date. Grand right and left around you go. Lucky strike means fine tobacco. Meet your honey and give her a whirl. All swing around with the little girls. Smoke 'em, then you'll see. LSMFT. Promenade and don't you fall. Promenade around the hall. Lucky strike is first again with tobacco men. Promenade straight down the pike. It's time right now for a lucky strike. Yes, for smoking that you're bound to like, you just can't beat a lucky strike.